everybody. Hello, dear members of SwissPropTech, friends, partners, and customers of our network. We are here once again with another interview, a SwissPropTech interview that we're doing today with a member of SwissPropTech. And it's Arseny Tarasov. He's from Hyper IT. They are based in Germany, and they are very active right now in a new and up-and-coming field that will be very important in the real estate industry. And it's all based around ESG, sustainability in buildings, especially in existing buildings, right? So my name is Lars Sommer. I'm the managing director of SwissPropTech. Very happy to be here, and thank you, Arseny, for being here with me. Maybe would you like to say a few words about yourself and about Hyper IT?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks very much. Let me quickly introduce the company. We are part of the bigger group, which is called BPS Group. The group focuses on three key stages of real estate life cycle. One of them is called BPS Planung, focuses on BIM design and BIM development. The other one focuses on using BIM and digital technologies in the construction stage. And my business, Hyper, stands for High Performance Operations, is focused on using digital technologies and BIM technologies in making sure that the buildings are operated most efficient, energy efficient, and sustainable way. And this business is actually part of our internal digital transformation, because when the company started building different properties, right, it realized that the topic of energy efficient operations, of reducing cost, of making sure that buildings are operated efficiently is not that simple, especially when it comes to existing buildings where you have to collect a lot of data. So therefore, the company had this vision of creating a product that would be used not only internally for the group, but also for the wider audience, for the industry, to make sure that owners and investors can very quickly, efficiently, and without major investments, make sure that the buildings are operated in the most efficient way. So that's a little bit of a background of the company. We have headquarters in Munich, but we operate across Europe and also in the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, and I think the current development, the current transformation that we're seeing in our industry, but also on our political level, gives you absolutely right? It proves you right, and it basically confirms your original idea that this will be a major game changer in the future. So
exactly,
we're moving right on to the first question, right, Arseny? So we are here to talk about energy retrofitting projects, right? In Switzerland, there is a lot of buildings that need to be retrofitted. I think our renovation quota lies roughly around 1%. 70% of our existing of our asset class are existing buildings, so it's a huge potential. And reduction of energy consumption as well as reducing costs are, of course, very hot topics right now. So what are the issues for companies that they're facing when they're implementing energy retrofits?
Yeah, so when it comes to a little bit wider topic, which is basically energy optimization, energy retrofits is part of that, right? So one of the key questions is whether they should do it or not. And if yes, then how, right? The issue that we see with existing buildings, especially in the manufacturing space and in the commercial space, was that when the buildings were designed and constructed, there wasn't really a lot of focus on sustainability and efficient operations and efficient use of energy. So let's say we take a manufacturing facility. Those who actually designed the manufacturing process didn't really care that much about energy efficiency in comparison with those who actually run the building, run the property. Right, and therefore we see that there is a significant amount of energy waste, which can be reused and recycled. Right, so when we talk about energy retrofits, something to consider is, first of all, it's not only about using the right materials or using the right construction process, but it's really looking at the overall situation with the building envelope, but very much how the energy is used internally. What kind of energy is used? It could be oil, it could be other fossil fuels, energy, heating, electric, renewables, and then how this energy is used, stored, wasted, recycled. So basically understanding what we call a business energy model is critical, right? So it's having this overview of all the energy intakes and then how energy is distributed internally. And then you can analyze that and understand what's really going on in terms of what are the potential for savings and improvements. So I would say that this is one of the key questions. But always if you want to understand what's really happening, you have to get the data first. And we see that as one of the most important questions, which is not resolved easily and quickly in the past. And that's why we focused one of our ideas and solutions based on making sure that companies can easily understand what's going on internally, and then based on that, make a decision how to implement energy retrofit.
Well, it's a big problem, right? Especially in real estate, this data is basically caught in silos, right? So there is not a lot of transparency, right? So that's a very good point that you're making. The other good point I liked when you talked about not really thinking ahead. It's a big problem. We also see it in Switzerland, right? Every sub part of real estate, they just think for themselves, and once they're done with their work, then it goes on to another part. We should really start thinking in long-term circles, right? So can you maybe explain to us a little bit more what these projects involve, and maybe could you also comment on the methodology and technology that you're using with your software?
Right, exactly. So we have developed a 6-stage methodology, which is in detail discussed on our website, but let me just briefly explain you what this is all about. So as I said, the first topic is super critical, is understanding the information about current building operations, right? How the energy is consumed, how it is distributed, wasted, stored on site. And we do it by either importing data from existing systems, and then if there is not enough data, we use our platform and on our hardware to quickly collect missing information so that we have a full picture of what's happening, right? So this is very important, stage number one. What's interesting here, a lot of companies say, oh, we have all the data. We don't need anything, right? We know exactly what's going on. But in reality, it's like when you have a pile of newspapers or pile of dictionaries, you can say, oh, I have all the information. But in reality, I mean, you have the information, but it's not really the knowledge, right? Because it's just data in different formats, in different systems. So it's super hard to make something valuable out of it. So the first stage is making sure that data is properly structured across different systems in one single data platform that allows to understand what's going on. So this is the first stage. The second stage is really understanding what are the potential for improvements through analysis of different sources of data, of energy, how this energy is consumed, what are the different systems inside a building, how much energy is wasted. We can identify the areas for potential savings and improvements. But it's not only in the design of the building, it's also in the processes. Sometimes we can identify that just improving internal processes and procedures can save up to 10 or 15%, right? So then an important decision is made of whether the company wants just to go ahead with optimization project and making sure that there is a proper optimization procedures involved in with the building, or going the retrofit way, right? If the company wants to achieve 40-50% savings, obviously retrofit would be the preferable way, right? And then at this stage, it's critical to understand what to focus on. So then there is a question of feasibility study, of designing the right solution, and finding what we call low-hanging fruits, where the least amount of money would generate the most amount of returns and improvements in terms of energy efficiency, right? And once the first stage of retrofit is complete, then we can basically analyze the results, present them to the management, and make a decision. Do we want to go deeper, right, and go further with these optimizations, or we want to scale it across different companies within the group? So this is in brief our methodology of how we do the retrofits.
Very nicely explained and very well thought through. So at the beginning, there is the will or the intention, right? That has to be taken by the investor or by the owner to actually retrofit the building, right?
Yeah.
So can you provide some more examples of technologies and digital solutions that are used in actually retrofitting those projects?
Yes, absolutely. So we use our platform a lot to make sure that we create this, what we call business energy model. So it's a single single source of all the data related to energy consumption. And we import that information from existing systems and from our own hardware that collects the digital trail of operations and energy consumption. So this is the first very important part of technology that allows us to really build the as-is energy model, right? And once this is done, then obviously when it comes to designing the new energy systems, implementing the new energy solutions. It's all about using the modern BIM tools, the simulation tools, the project management tools, right, that allow to actually design and then implement the new modernized energy system. But then once this is implemented, measured, it's critically important that what we call the high performance of the building operation is sustained. So not only we need to achieve high performance, but also sustain it, right? And that's where we use our platform to make sure that all these great improvements and retrofit changes that we made are followed, right? That things are not getting worse, because sometimes, I mean, if you buy a new car, right? With a new car, you can consume maybe 6 liters of petrol for 100 kilometers. But if you don't drive it properly, you would consume 20 liters, 25 liters, right? So it's not only about the car, it's about how this car is driven. So the same with energy systems. You can have a great new energy solution, but unless it's properly operated, there might be some issues with that.
Yeah, you can have the best computer, right? If the guy or the person that's putting the information in doesn't work properly, then the best system doesn't help you, right? So yeah, that's actually another clash that we're facing: traditional mindset versus new mindset, right? Things also have to change, people have to change, right? So how do you differentiate from traditional companies? What do you do differently from traditional approaches? And of course, because it's such a hot topic, there is also other companies that are emerging in this area, right? How do you differentiate from these other prop techs or other startups that are also approaching?
Yes, I would say there are two categories of companies that work in this space. One would be, traditional energy consultants, but they normally have very high level amount of data, and they just use, basic and standard recommendation of what needs to be done, right? So maybe it comes to changing lamps from regular lamps to LED and having some standard solutions which are not really tailored to specific situation at the customer facility. So they would also normally only provide their recommendations based not on the actual digital trail of operations, but based on some very high level data that exists. For example, how much energy already is spent per month, or how much energy is consumed through heating or oil and gas and so on, right? So very high level information. It's not detailed enough to understand exactly what needs to be done, right? So this is one area of differentiation. Another area of differentiation is obviously about the data analytics part, right? It's because when it comes to data analytics, a lot of companies have to rely on existing data from existing sub-meters or other reporting tools. It's sometimes good enough, but if you really want to go deeper, that's not sufficient, because you have to really understand and analyze the technical operation processes. And you can only do that when you have the hardware and the systems that can collect big data and understand exactly what's going on. I'll give you an example. We had an analysis of a refrigeration warehouse where one of the big compressors always required some extra attention, right? And the customer couldn't understand what was the reason. So when we started analyzing the energy consumption of this particular technology, of this particular piece of equipment, we realized that this compressor would turn on and off several times per minute, right? And it's a huge piece of machinery, and it's very, very harmful for this equipment to work in this way. But you can only analyze this when you measure the pattern of operation every second or every few seconds. Because if you just measure it once a minute or once every 10 minutes, you won't get that, peaks, and you won't see the pattern of operation. So that's really a big difference in how we measure and how we get big data, and how other companies may rely just on a very high level measurements.
Well, they say the devil lies in the details, right?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Exactly.
Very nice. Sounds very good. So, as you know, and our audience here also knows, SwissPropTech also has corporate members, right? And Swiss Circle, our partner network, they also have corporate members. So, I think this solution might be very interesting to all of our corporate members, right? To really help them rethink their ways and their investment ways. So, What should they do before they talk to you, or how should they prepare themselves for this topic? What should they do right now?
Yes, I would say that, in this kind of project, and sometimes they become very disruptive, right? Because nobody wants to make changes and especially look at further investments. The first thing which is critical is to really understand and create a commitment within the organization for the change, right? There should be an enterprise initiative with the proper metrics and proper executives who are responsible for achieving this retrofit metrics in the future, right? So this is point number one, and it's super critical, and it should be set at the board level or at the owner's level, because otherwise nobody wants to do anything, right? Because any retrofit is a painful process. So this is topic number one. Topic number two is understanding what will be the financial model of the retrofit, right? Because obviously the retrofit would be required just to achieve the green targets and the sustainability targets, but at the same time, if customers use modern subsidy models and government models and technology, right? The retrofits would pay for itself because of the energy reduction, because of reducing of operating costs and things like this. So therefore, it's critical to identify what would be the budget, the business model of the retrofit before, making further decisions and investment in technology. And the third question is obviously who would be the team in the in the company that would support this project and would be committed to implement it. Because very often the teams are not fully committed and they don't have this target in their metrics, in their bonuses. So for them, it's like, okay, nice thing to do. So they say, all right, no rush, no real commitment. But if they're specifically focused on achieving this target, if this is part of the compensation mechanism, then it would work perfectly. So this is, I think, very important to do before starting with any technology.
Right, because otherwise it's just an idea, and an idea without any real pressure or any real priority is just gonna float in the air, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very good. Arseny, this has been very interesting, right? I think we cleared a lot of good points, a lot of ground. I think we were able to be transparent and really highlight your solution and the way you can benefit, right? And I think it's a really important topic, especially when we look forward to up and coming European Union taxonomy, right? Yep. That will also come to Switzerland, of course, maybe in another form, but it will change the way we handle real estate and the way we have to think about this. So you have a perfect solution to prepare for this. Yeah, it's been very interesting talking to you. And yeah, do you have any final words you want to say?
Yes, absolutely. Thanks very much for mentioning this new, CSRD and SAE-SRS initiatives. Obviously, they would drive a lot of new projects, a lot of new changes in 2024, right? And some of them start with just reporting, understanding what's happening. And here we could also support these initiatives with our data collection and digital trade capabilities. We would be very happy to help companies understand what's really going on, because a lot of buildings are just black boxes, and we help them to become transparent, right? Because transparent operations is always kind of the diagnostic stage, right? So make sure that you plan the journey first, understanding where you're at, because then it's easier to plan further steps. But other than that, I think it's a very exciting moment for the industry. I want also to mention that on Friday last week, we won the Green Beam Awards in German real estate industry competition, which was a great recognition of our vision, of our product and our projects. So very excited about that. And we would be happy, of course, to offer the solutions and results that we achieved with our technology and our projects for customers in Switzerland.
What a great way to finish this interview. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations on this recognition. It's very nice to see. And thank you for sharing your wisdom and your insights. I think we were able to generate quite some transparency. This has been very nice talking to you. Thank you, dear audience. Thank you, dear listeners, for taking the time here to listen to Arseny and me talk about the future of our industry. So once again, we had a very good interview. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Arseny, for your insights, and we wish you a great evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. See you on LinkedIn.